Russian President Vladimir Putin proposed to restart direct negotiations with Ukraine in Istanbul. For his part, the Ukrainian president insists on a ceasefire before holding negotiations. On the eve of CELAC's Foreign Ministers Forum, China aims to strengthen friendship and cooperation ties with Latin America and the Caribbean. And the governments of Iran and the United States held on Sunday in the city of Muscat in Oman the fourth round of talks on the Iranian nuclear plan. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Russia, President Vladimir Putin proposed to the Ukrainian government to resume direct negotiations without preconditions in the Turkish city of Istanbul. The Russian president detailed that it is necessary to resume the talks that were interrupted at the end of 2022. The Russian head of state also did not rule out that during these talks it would be possible to agree on a new real ceasefire that would be respected not only by Russia but also by Ukraine. The Russian president specified that he proposes to restart the talks without delay next May 15th in Istanbul, where they were held previously.
Despite everything, we propose the Kiev authorities resume the negotiations they interrupted at the end of 2022 to resume direct negotiations and, I emphasize, without any preconditions. We propose to begin without delay next Thursday, May 15th, in Istanbul, where they were held earlier and where they were interrupted. We are committed to serious negotiations with Ukraine. Their purpose is to eliminate the root causes of the conflict, to establish a long-term, lasting peace for the historical perspective. We do not rule out that during these negotiations it will be possible to agree on some new truces, a new ceasefire.
For his part, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he agreed to dialogue directly with Russia. Although all signs point to the meeting being held, Ukraine has expressed its wish for Russia to accept the 30-day truce to begin on Monday, as proposed by several European leaders. Moscow rejected the proposal from the beginning, assuring that the leaders of the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization will take advantage of it to rearm and strengthen the Ukrainian troops. In this regard, while speaking to St. Petersburg Governor Alexander Baglov during his official visit to Russia, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said he welcomed the idea of resuming talks between Russia and Ukraine so that both neighboring countries may live in peace.
I would like to say that both the Venezuelan people and government rejoice on this announcement made by a man that defends the interests of his homeland, but that also has a clear vision of what world peace should be. And I want to convey from this historic city, formerly Leningrad, currently St. Petersburg, the Venezuelan support. And I am sure that most countries in Latin America and the Caribbean also support President Putin's efforts and that of all of the Russian people in resuming direct talks. An option that should have never been abandoned to reach an understanding free from outside influences between Russia and Ukraine to retake a path leading to a just peace. Concord once again. Russia has a right to peace. All the peoples in the world have a right to peace. So we give President Putin and Russia all our support.
The 80th anniversary of the end of World War II was celebrated all over the world, with the biggest ceremony held in Moscow. The celebration brought together generations in history and geography. Details from our special envoy, Yunus Suner, from Moscow.
The Soviet Union lost 27 million citizens in the Great Patriotic War against Nazi Germany, and the fallen were present both on picture and in hearts on Moscow streets on May 9.
Это мое имя и фамилия, и сегодня
Today, for the 80th anniversary of the victory, for me, it is a great pride to be here, because all my great-grandfathers participated in the Great Patriotic War.
Великой Отечественной войне. Они все награждены не одним орденом.
They were all decorated with several orders, and I, as their great-granddaughter, with their eyes, will see this incredible celebration.
Видеть этот потрясающий праздник, и надеюсь, они где-то там будут со мной.
Russian citizens remembering their grandfathers were joined by others. Charles de Gaulle was the French general who led his country's fight against Germany in World War II, becoming the first head of provisional government in France after liberation from fascism.
It's important for me to be here as a grandson of Charles de Gaulle to celebrate the end of the Second World War and the 80th birthday. Also to remember and tell that Russia paid the heaviest tribute for the freedom of the world against the Nazis.
Already a legend during the war, his grandfather became president later again, standing for a French policy independent from the US during the Cold War.
I'm also here to celebrate the Franco-Russian friendship. It was one of the pillars of the policy of my grandfather. It's important if you want to make peace.
Another European guest in the celebrations was Alexander von Bismarck. He is the grandnephew of Otto von Bismarck, who, as chancellor in late 19th century, united Germany.
Aus deutscher Sicht, weil ich hier in
From a German perspective, this is the first time I witnessed May 9 here in Moscow, and that was very moving and emotional.
Deutschland ist, war für mich sehr bewegend und emotional. Und ich glaube, wir können
I think we can provide the younger generation some insight, because we don't learn in school what that all means.
das alles bedeutet.
This wasn't only the victory over the Nazis, it was also the victory for peace.
Über die Nazis, sondern es war auch ein Sieg für den Frieden.
His grandfather was chancellor between 1871 and 1890, dominating European politics with his policy of balance and his international congresses such as the Berlin Conference. The name Otto von Bismarck stands continent-wide famously for the merit of diplomacy.
Das hat Russland immer angemahnt. Und das ist ja das
Russia has always told us to construct the European peace order together,
in Europa. Wir haben gesagt, Russland hat uns immer wieder gesagt,
but we ignored that. And now we face the consequences in conflict in Ukraine.
Füße gefallen
That was a fatal mistake.
bei diesem Konflikt hier zwischen der Ukraine und Russland.
Moscow's Victory Day celebrations and humanity's desire for peace brought together families and memories over generations and borders. A truly historic May 9, 2025. Yunus Soner, teleSUR, Moscow, Russia.
We have a first short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. China aims to strengthen friendship and cooperation ties with Latin America and the Caribbean on the eve of the Forum of Foreign Ministers of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States in Beijing. Chinese Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs Miao Deyu announced at a press conference that President Xi Jinping will inaugurate the forum and deliver a keynote speech in which he will analyze the development of relations between China and the countries of the region. President Xi will also address the prospects of the future partnership between the world's second-largest economy and the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean. Beijing convened a ministerial meeting of the China-CELAC Forum with the intention of discussing a new plan of action to strengthen the strategic partnership between Beijing and Latin American countries.
China believes that Latin American and Caribbean countries are an important part of the global trend towards multipolarity and economic globalization. The people of Latin America and the Caribbean are building their own homeland, not anyone else's backyard.
Furthermore, Miao Deyu reaffirmed that Beijing promotes cooperation with Latin America through an action plan for integral development.
The Beijing Declaration will express the shared determination of both sides to pursue peace, development, and promote cooperation. The Joint Action Plan outlines specific initiatives in areas such as technological innovation, trade and investment finance, infrastructure, agriculture and food security, industrial upgrading, energy and mineral resources, and the Belt and Road Initiative. The Joint Action Plan will serve as a roadmap for cooperation between China and Latin America and the Caribbean over the next 3 years.
In other topics, the White House announced Sunday that it has reached a trade agreement with China at talks held this weekend in the Swiss city of Geneva. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said both sides made substantial progress in all important trade talks. Bessent added that more information will be disclosed on Monday and that President Trump was fully informed of the developments. White House Trade Representative Jameson Greer described the 2 days of negotiations as very constructive. And the governments of Iran and the United States held on Sunday in the city of Muscat in Oman the 4th round of talks on the Iranian nuclear plan. Under Oman's mediation, the latest U.S.-Iran talks have proceeded without a clear solution to the conflict, as Iran assures that it will not give up its nuclear rights, while Washington has reiterated that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons, so its enrichment facilities must be dismantled. The latest gathering, headed by White House Special Envoy for the Middle East, Stephen Witkoff, and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, was addressed by the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman as difficult but useful to better understand each other's positions and to find reasonable and realistic ways to address differences.
I can say that compared to the 3 previous rounds, the negotiations were much more serious and straightforward. We've, to a large extent, moved away from general discussions and gotten into more detailed matters. Naturally, this makes the negotiations even more difficult. From our perspective, uranium enrichment is something that absolutely must continue, and there's no room for compromise about that. We may consider limitations on its dimensions, scope, level, and amount for a certain period to build confidence, as we did in the agreement, but the principle of enrichment itself is not even negotiable.
Palestinian authorities warn that people in the Gaza Strip are dying of thirst as the Israeli regime keeps restricting access to the vital liquid. In this regard, the Palestinian Water Authority issued an urgent humanitarian appeal alerting that 2.3 million residents are currently deprived of access to the minimum amount of water required for survival. Furthermore, in the appeal, the authority unveiled that water extraction in Gaza has declined by 80% since October 2023, while water consumption has dropped to 3 to 5 liters per person per day, far below the emergency minimum of 15 liters established by the World Health Organization. In this context, the body accused Israel of committing a systematic war crime by using thirst and starvation as tools of genocide.
We are suffering greatly just to get drinking water, even salt water. As you can see, we wait a day or two for the charity trucks to arrive, and it's still not enough. What can a gallon or two do for an entire day?
We are suffering greatly. We can't find water to drink, not even to wash our hands. Water is not available. After a long struggle, we managed to get a water bottle to drink. Our children are dying of.
In Palestine, the Israeli occupation army intensified on Saturday its aggression by demolishing residential homes in Nur Shams refugee camp in the northwestern West Bank. Palestinian sources confirmed that occupation forces detonated 3 homes in the Al-Manshiyah neighborhood, bringing the total number of buildings destroyed by Israeli forces in the last week alone to 15. These demolitions are part of a wider systematic campaign by the occupation to erase entire neighborhoods within the camp as part of a plan announced 10 days ago to demolish 106 buildings in Nur Shams and Tulkarem refugee camps. This campaign has already begun a large-scale humanitarian crisis with more than 4,200 Palestinian families forcibly displaced, while more than 400 houses have been completely crushed, and another 2,573 have suffered damage. We now have our second break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on our world's most recent events. Final break, we'll be right back with more. Welcome back. Voting ended in Albania's parliamentary elections this Sunday. The campaign was dominated by the country's efforts to join the European Union. Polls closed at 7 p.m. local time, and vote counting is expected to conclude within 48 hours. Because of mass immigration, the country of 2.8 million people has about 3.7 million eligible voters. For the first time, those in the diaspora could vote, casting their ballots by mail. Voters were electing 140 lawmakers to 4-year terms, choosing from 2,046 candidates representing 11 political groupings. Preliminary turnout at 6 p.m. local time was 41.37%, 5% higher than it was in 2021. And in Uruguay, regional and local elections move forward this Sunday. Polling stations open at 8 a.m. local time, with more than 2.7 million voters summoned to elect 19 governors, 589 city councilors, 136 mayors, and 544 municipal councilors. Likewise, 19 departmental intendancies were presented, 147 candidates for 7 political parties. On the other hand, 1.9 million Uruguayans will be able to decide on the mayors of 136 municipalities, 11 more than in the elections of 2020. And Venezuelans took part on Saturday of an electoral drill ahead of the regional and national elections of May 25th. Electoral authorities described the drill as highly successful. The National Electoral Council summoned citizens to participate in the democratic exercise with the objective of familiarizing voters with the system. This drill allowed the testing of the voting machines, checking the effectiveness of the transmission media, and evaluating the technical operation and logistics of the procedure. And on Sunday, many countries around the world hold commemorative events to celebrate Mother's Day. On this day, relatives dedicate the day to their mothers to honor them and to thank them for the acts of love and care for their families. Yet not all countries celebrate Mother's Day on the same date, due to differences in culture and traditions. In the Americas, countries like Chile, Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia, and Brazil have adopted the festivity on the second Sunday of May. And in this regard, as part of the activities to commemorate Mother's Day, the city of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil featured a drone projection of an image of Our Lady of Immaculate Conception of Aparecida, patron saint of the nation. The video shared through social media shows Virgin Mary next to the Redeemer Christ in a gesture of reverence and faith. Virgin Mary is an example of motherly love for the millions of faithful Brazilian Catholics. And in this context as well of Mother's Day, through his Telegram account, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel wished a happy day to all Cuban mothers, masters of everyday life, who created and sustained life with the passion and beauty of artists. Thank you for so much. A big hug for all of you. And also, the Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, through a message on his Telegram account, said the following: Mother's Day is a day of memories, feelings, gratitude, emotions, and family reunion. We must defend our mother as one would defend the most precious thing. Let us defend the family as one would defend one's homeland. To those whose mothers are alive, take care of her, take care of her, visit her, be with her, respect her, love her, and to those of us whose mothers have passed, let us always remember her, let us raise a prayer for them. I send you all my love, admiration, and infinite gratitude. And meanwhile, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum praised the work of Mexican mothers and sent a commemorative message on this day.
On this Mother's Day, I want to send a very affectionate and heartfelt greeting message and a very strong hug to all Mexican mothers, to tell them that we love them, that we value the work they do every day, and to the family that we must take care of our mothers. Mothers not only take care of us, we must also take care of our mothers. We must support them. House chores are not only a woman's responsibility, it concerns every member of the family.
Like this, we are from the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. With Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.